Yo, what is up guys, your boy Zikage here with the 20k special, and this is what if Naruto had thunder breathing. I didn't post for around 3-4 days just to focus on this, so I hope you all will enjoy. And also, I'm going to be posting a gaming video actually later on, so if you're interested, check that out. Also, here's a quick clip.
Player standing.
You know, just a quick plug, so if you like what you see, feel free to check it out. So with that all said, let's get right into the what if.
Talk to me nice, look, hurt, dirty, hurt, clean. Big body Benz, I got you. Scoop on the creek, get in here like a Mac. I can't fuck with these hoes, these bitches is true. I'm the middle, niggas got niggas attack.
So we start this what if off in the cave with Kushina giving birth, and not long after, the crying of Naruto echoed off the walls, but Kushina's happiness didn't last for long because she heard two loud thuds and saw the medical ninjas who were helping her out, giving birth to Naruto. They just fell on the ground dead. And she saw a masked man with her child, and Minato, seeing this, acted quickly, saving Naruto from the man, but an explosion sent him and the baby flying out. Using this opportunity, this masked man took Kushina to start the extraction process. And back in the village, it was absolute chaos. People running for cover, running for their lives. And Iruka, who was a kid right now, his parents take him to one of the shelters and leave him to go fight for their village. And we all know they didn't return. Hiruzen and his team of Ambu run towards the Nine Tails, but before they get any closer, Hiruzen says to them, "Stay on standby, I'll take care of this." And he jumps and summons Monkey King Enma, and it transforms into an adamantine staff. And Hiruzen shouts, "Extend!" And the staff shot into the Nine Tails' chest, pushing it out of the village and into the forest surrounding it. There, Minato teleports in with Kushina and Naruto, and Kushina extends her chakra chains, binding the Nine Tails. And at first, he suggested to take the Kyuubi in and die, but for one, she was too weak, and another, the Kyuubi would just come back later, and other villages would have an opportunity to capture it, so they decided to seal it within Naruto. Minato does the hand signs for the ultimate sealing technique, the Reaper Death Seal, and with that, Naruto is now the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Before Kushina dies though, she knows Minato puts, a bit of their chakra into Naruto so they could talk later on, but she wants Naruto to know a lot more information, stuff that the two of them just won't have enough time to tell him, so she decided to place her own seal. Using the last of her energy to ensure Naruto's safety in the future, she does multiple hand signs and says "Memory Seal" and places her hand on the side of Naruto's head, and she sets the seal to unlock once Naruto is around 18. She doesn't know the exact age because just the more chakra you put into the seal, the longer it's gonna last, but she's done it multiple times, so she has a rough estimate of when it's gonna unlock. So with that, she kisses Naruto on the forehead and dies. So like usual, Hiruzen and his men would rush in as soon as the barrier drops and take Naruto in. So over the years, Naruto would grow up relatively similar to Kanon, but he was more calm, and since he was home a lot, he was sleeping because with no TV, no friends, not no friends, but two friends and no toys, sleeping just became a pastime for Naruto. So whenever he was awake, most of the time he was just really tired. So when Naruto was around 7 years old, and this is the day before the start of the academy, for once Naruto went outside to see, what was up, and while he was walking, he comes across Choji and Shikamaru, and they see him and they run up all excited because they haven't seen Naruto in a while. So they say, "Hey Naruto, I haven't seen you in a while." And Naruto rubs his eyes like he's tired and says, "Oh, hey guys, did I miss anything important?" Shikamaru grabbed his chin and said, "Not really, but Sasuke learned this really cool jutsu." And this raised Naruto's curiosity, and Choji explained how it was this massive fireball. So his eyes were wide open in shock. Naruto felt like he would never be close to Sasuke's strength. So that evening, Naruto returned home after playing with, Choji. They played in the playground and went to Shikamaru's house to play some shogi. Of course, they all lost, but still it was fun. So he sat in his bed, and for a while, Naruto started to think of any way to get stronger for the start of the academy. But Naruto thinks about it for just a minute and falls asleep. Like, he's tired, he loves sleeping. But in his sleep, Naruto has a dream about this old man living in a wooden shed, like next to a waterfall. But to Naruto, this dream feels real. He can feel the droplets of water from the waterfall and can feel the grass beneath his feet. So Naruto begins walking, and when he enters the shack, he sees a man crossing his legs, sitting under a sign called Namekaze. And Naruto is squinting his eyes trying to read it, but that's when the old man opened his eyes and says, "I'll be waiting for you." And he smiled, and a bolt of lightning struck the building, causing Naruto to jump up in his sleep, like breathing heavily and looking around, touching his chest to check if, he's okay. And Naruto thought to himself, what was that? So Naruto got up and he's trying to suppress what he thinks was just a nightmare, and he starts to get ready for the academy. But when he went outside, Naruto started to get these flashes of memories, like he's been to places before but he's never been. And he sees the same wooden shack from his dream, and it's behind the mountain that the stone heads are carved on. So Naruto decided to check it out himself and see if it was real. He started jumping towards the head and climbed over it. And I mean, it took a while to do, but still, it's doable. Because he doesn't have chakra or like wall walking, he has to legit just climb like a regular person. So at the top of the mountain, it was a plateau, because I'm gonna probably put a picture on screen right now, but you can see buildings are actually on top of it, so it must be flat. But Naruto, all he had to do just walk through this. It was just like 5 buildings or so, and he reached the other side. So Naruto looked down and saw a waterfall below him, and a pond that the waterfall was flowing into. So Naruto jumps down and lands in the water, and he swims up to the surface and starts shaking his hair dry. So he gets out of the pond, and then he sees the same shack from his dream, and he's thinking it's real. And Naruto got up out of the pond and walked to the building, and he tries opening the door, and then it just swings open. So Naruto proceeds to walk in, and he sees a man meditating under a banner, the same one from his dream. And the old man had wrinkles all over, yellow hair, and a long white beard. And the man opened his eyes and got up, and he said, "Good to meet you, grandson. I thought you'd never come." Naruto repeated to himself, "Wait, grandson? Wait, what?" And the man walked past Naruto holding his cane, and Naruto followed saying, "Wait, what? I'm your grandson?" And the man nodded, and they went back outside, and the man said, "We don't have much time. Your training must start now." Naruto was so confused. The grandson and training and this house out in the middle of nowhere. The old man said, "Calm down and listen. Your mother told me you'd show up and I should teach you my technique." And Naruto asks, "Wait, you know my mom?" And the old man put both his hands behind his back and started walking. "It doesn't matter now who she is. Your training is all that matters." And Naruto shouted, "Why would I want to learn some stupid technique from you?" Hearing this, the old man's eyes widened, and he picked up his cane and pulled on it, revealing it to be the sheath of a sword. The old man said, "Thunder-breathing second form, Rice Spirit." And he swiped his sword through the air 5 times, and from each slash, an electrified arc of lightning shot off his blade and into a boulder in front of him, cutting the boulder into clean slices. Naruto looked on in amazement. What kind of jutsu is this? And he said, "Okay, I'll train. And the old man said, "Prove it." So Naruto was like, "I'll do anything. I'll do any challenge you give me." So the old man tells Naruto to turn around, and they both are looking at the waterfall. And the old man says, "Climb to the top within a year and I'll consider training you." So Naruto got to it. His first few attempts were a horrible failure. He would slip off the rocks because they have a layer of sea moss on the rocks, so it's just really slippery, and Naruto would fall into the lake below. Well, not really a lake, it's more of just like a small pond that the waterfall goes into. So after a few attempts, Naruto would return to the shack soaking wet, and his granddad asked, "Give up yet?" And Naruto gritted his teeth and said sternly no, and marches outside. So Naruto does this, and it would take him 5 months to finally reach the top, because just imagine the weight of the waterfall falling down on him. That is really difficult. Plus trying to climb slippery rock, it's basically almost impossible. So after completing this task, he shouted for his grandpa from the top of the waterfall, and he comes out of his shack and looks up impressed. He never actually thought the kid would do it. So he throws away his cane and starts cracking his joints, cracking his back, and he runs up and jumps into the waterfall, climbing up it with little effort, just like grabbing onto a rock and throwing himself up, and with 3 throws he makes it. And Naruto was shocked. It took him 30 minutes to climb, and his granddad said, "You have a lot to learn, but good work. Now do it with that." And he pointed to a backpack made of vines, and it had a boulder in it. And Naruto just looked at him like in confusion, like, "Do you really expect me to lift that?" And his granddad said, "Well, get to it," and jumped back down, grabbing his cane, and went back inside. So Naruto went down and tried to put the backpack on, and it was a struggle, and he just sat there realizing the, challenge ahead of him. So just that day, Naruto spent trying to get the backpack on somehow, and by the end he managed to do it. So over the months he would try and try but always fail, but after 6 months he would get it. And again, his grandfather would be impressed, but tasked Naruto with something else this time. Also, I should mention, Naruto, while he's not in the waterfall or anything, his grandfather is teaching him basic ninjutsu like substitution and even sealing stuff into scrolls. So Naruto won't be a complete novice, and he's also learning chakra control. And the old man, like Tanjiro and Kanen, had Naruto do like breath training, like have him stay as long as he can under the waterfall or complete a task while having little oxygen. So his last training with the old man is to use a wooden sword to cut through a tree in one clean swipe. And the old man dropped the sword into Naruto's hands and said, "Get to it." And he jumped down to the house. Naruto, with determination, tried swinging at the tree. He tried running up, but nothing worked. And a week later, Naruto asked his master to demonstrate, and the old man was reluctant, but he gave in, and he followed Naruto up to the waterfall, which he's gotten actually really good at climbing. And when they reach the top, the old man takes the wooden sword from Naruto and stands a few feet away from the tree. He crouches and takes a deep breath, and in a flash, he appears on the other side of the tree. And Naruto's eyes widen like, what? How is that possible? And the tree itself, like when a sword cut was made and it slowly starts to slide off, that's basically what just happened, and the tree fell over. So Naruto was amazed, and when he got back the sword, he tried and tried and tried, and after 5 months, just nothing. So the old man thought he would give Naruto a helping hand, so he comes out and explains basically how his whole technique works. So just like how the Raikage would use his lightning cloak to boost his speed, the Namikaze clan, this allows them to do lightning release without any hand signs. They can just think about it and it activates. So they would focus it all in their legs, and that's what makes his grandfather as fast as he is, because he developed the move. So just take what the Raikage does and shorten it down into a second, and you're putting all your energy into your legs. That's basically all the old man is doing. And Naruto, hearing this, he's like, I don't even know any lightning moves. And that's where the old man was like, oh, you don't? So he does teach him a few, and Naruto's training actually starts to get on a lot more. And Naruto after 2 more months, finally cut through the tree. And it was clean, like if you touched it, it was really smooth. There was no wood chips. It was just a clean swipe, and it wasn't even a sharp sword. So after that, he showed his grandfather, and he's like, oh yeah, you have a lot to learn, but you're cool to return to the village. But before that, the old man gave Naruto his own sword. He carried him into the wooden shack, and under one of the floorboards, it revealed a really long box, and when he took it up and opened it, it was a black sword with yellow lightning shooting on it, and Naruto was amazed. This sword looked incredible, so he graciously accepted it. And as he was walking outside, Naruto looked at the sword and he raised it up into the air, and then lightning struck the sword, causing Naruto to fall on the ground unconscious. Naruto wakes up a few days later, and when he does, he sees the old man sitting right next to him, and he says, "Oh, you're awake. About time." And Naruto is asking what happened, and he got up, and there was a mirror close by, and he sees that he looks basically the same. It's just his hair is a bit different. It's more like Zenitsu's hair in the image for the thumbnail. So instead of one just blonde, it's like blonde in the center and orange at the ends of Naruto's hair. So not that big of a difference, and that day Naruto just made sure everything was alright. You know, his old man was concerned for him, but he knew that he was okay. So not long after, Naruto started going back to the village. And it didn't take that long for him to do so. And when he started walking in the village, Naruto was just walking around and no one really recognized him because, for one, this is like 3 years later. So Naruto is taller, and because of all his training, Naruto is more toned, like he's fit. And Naruto, he's, you know, I mean, his hair is different, but that's not really a huge like difference. So while he's walking, Anbu members start surrounding Naruto and they said, "Stop, intruder." And Naruto is like, wait, what? But he couldn't talk for long because he was restricted with some seals. And the Anbu, instead of taking him straight to Ibiki to be thrown in jail, Hiruzen actually wanted to talk to this intruder himself. So Naruto was put in Hiruzen's office and he says, "Who are you and why are you in my village?" And Naruto smiles and says, "Don't tell me you don't recognize me, old man." And hearing old man, Hiruzen realized, "Wait, Naruto?" And Naruto said, "In the flesh." And Hiruzen is like, "Where have you been? We've sent multiple search parties out to find you." And Naruto said, "Don't worry, I'm here now." And Hiruzen got up and went to hug Naruto. And when they broke the hug, Hiruzen said, "Well, what about the academy? You have to start over now." And Naruto says, "Trust me, I'm strong enough to even take on a Jonin." And Hiruzen is like, Jonin, don't get too ahead of yourself." But Naruto seems confident, so Hiruzen calls in Kakashi to test Naruto. So after Kakashi arrives in the office, Hiruzen informs him of Naruto's claim, so Kakashi gladly accepts the challenge, and they both went outside to start the fight. And they're fighting on like the private training ground, basically where Hiruzen would train members of his Anbu, so no one is around to see really. So Kakashi says, "I won't go easy on you cause you're a kid," and Naruto responds, "You better not." And the two stare each other down until Hiruzen says, "Begin." Just as he said begin, Naruto exhaled and focused all his strength into his legs and used lightning release in an instant to blitz Kakashi and a trail of lightning following behind him. Kakashi wasn't able to track Naruto at all because, well, he didn't have his Sharingan active, and he was so fast. They see the trail of lightning, and it reminds both Kakashi and Hiruzen of Minato. And Kakashi tried turning around, but the back of his knees were cut into his ligaments, so he couldn't walk without like being healed. So Kakashi dropped to the ground and was just not able to get up at all. And Hiruzen called a match, and he was dumbfounded. He couldn't form words for what he just saw. And Naruto just walked off and said, "I'll be in the academy tomorrow." And Hiruzen just couldn't say anything about it. So the next day, Naruto does go to the academy, and he knows the class he's supposed to go to. It's the class being taught by Iruka. So Naruto walks into class and everyone is wondering like who this kid is. They've never seen him before. But when he goes to the back of the class and passes Shikamaru, he squints his eyes and is like, wait, Naruto? And Sakura is like, that's not Naruto. He looks too cool to be Naruto. Naruto turns to Shikamaru and he's like, oh, hey, how's it been, Shikamaru? And everyone is like, wait, this is Naruto? So after this, Naruto just sat down until Iruka came in, and before, Hiruzen did inform Iruka that Naruto would be joining his class, and yeah, I mean, he was amazed as well that he didn't even know where Naruto was. He was actually worried. So Naruto, he sits down in class, and Iruka wasn't the only one worried for his safety while he was gone. Hinata was also worried, and she would often go out all night trying to search for Naruto in the forest surrounding the village. So Iruka starts off the lesson saying, it's good to see Naruto here, but they would have to do another training session with the class since at the start of the academy, they did a sort of, different activities like sparring, accuracy training. So they'd have to, gauge Naruto's ability with that as he would move on through the academy. So they all went outside and started doing first the accuracy training, just getting a kunai and throwing it at a bullseye, and Naruto did extremely well at this. Not that he practiced it or anything, but his training beforehand helped him out with this. So everyone else in his class would go and they got decent scores. Sasuke actually hitting 8 out of the 10 kunais in the center like the bullseye, while Naruto did all 10. So after that, they did sparrings, and this was a massacre on Naruto's part. Naruto, knowing that he would basically beat everyone here without little effort, he said to Iruka, can I just fight everyone who did really well when you first did this, like the top competitors? And Iruka is like, well, I guess, why not? So Naruto would be going up against Sasuke, Kiba, and Shikamaru all at the same time, and everyone was wondering, is Naruto dumb? Like Sakura, she's bad-mouthing Naruto like, Naruto, you're never gonna even beat Sasuke, much less Shikamaru, or who was it? Shikamaru, or I just said their name, Shikamaru or Kiba, exactly. But Naruto wasn't trying to listen to anything Sakura was saying. He and the other three went into the ring, and as Iruka said begin, Naruto took out his sword, which he had a sheath for on his waist, and before they even started, Sakura asked, was that even allowed? And Iruka's like, well, it's a ninja tool, so I guess. So the match continued. Naruto saw all three of them running towards him, and he crouched down and started breathe in, and he exhaled, focusing all his energy into his legs, and Naruto flashed behind all three of them, and Naruto this time didn't just flash forward. Naruto bounced from Shikamaru to Sasuke to Kiba, making this 3 folds. So Naruto knocked them all in the back of the head with the hilt of his blade, knocking them all out. And everyone, they didn't even see what happened. That's how fast Naruto moved. They just saw Naruto move from where he was to behind all three of them, and they just all fall over unconscious. And Iruka was actually scared. Like, what the heck? If you saw this, you would be scared as well. Like, you just saw some of your top students just drop to the ground without any explanation. You didn't see anything. So everyone was kind of on edge around Naruto. Like, what was he? So Iruka said Naruto wins, and Sakura, she runs up to Sasuke and she's like patting him on the cheek, trying to get him to wake up. But Iruka had her take him as well as Kiba and Shikamaru to the infirmary to get checked out by one of the medical ninjas in the school. So here, with that, everyone else went into class, and this proved Naruto was a really capable ninja. His speed alone was incredible. So as the academy went on, Naruto became known as a really strong ninja. People don't really mess with him because they know he will mess you up in return. So in the graduation exams, like this is a time skip to 2 years from now to the graduation exams. And Naruto, he is so tired of this, basically just being lumped in with these weaker ninjas. He feels like he can do so much more. So Naruto just skips the graduation exams and goes to Hiruzen's office. And he walks into the Hokage mansion, and there's someone there standing guard, so not just any random person can walk into the Hokage's office. So they recognize Naruto and they know he's like a part of the village. So they let him through, and Naruto enters Hiruzen's office, and Hiruzen is surprised to see Naruto, and he asks, "Isn't the exams today? Why are you here?" And Naruto says, "Yeah, but to be honest, Hiruzen, I can't be bothered with it." And Hiruzen is confused. Like, first off, he called him Hiruzen, which is way out of line, bro. It's Hokage. But he's like, why? And Naruto is like, because everyone there is weaker than me. It's no challenge at all. And Hiruzen is like, okay, you're not that strong. Hold your roll. And Naruto is not even joking. And he says, give me a mission and I'll complete it quickly. And Hiruzen is like, bro, you're not even a genin. And Naruto just says, if I complete this mission successfully, then give me whatever rank you see fit for the mission I just completed. And Hiruzen is like, alright, I'll take you up on this offer, but don't cry to me when you fail the mission. He started going through some of his files and he pulled out a B rank mission. And you might be wondering, B rank mission for an academy student? Well, Naruto literally beat Kakashi, so I think Hiruzen has some faith in him. So Hiruzen starts reading off all the details of Naruto's mission, saying it's a B rank mission and he's tasked with assassinating Gato because of all the trouble he's causing with the Land of Waves, and the Land of Waves is an essential village to the Leaf. So Hiruzen wants the issue taken care of and Naruto gladly accepts. So he starts on his journey to the Land of Waves, and this time Gato isn't really expecting anyone, so he doesn't send anyone like the Demon Brothers or Zabuza and Haku to intercept Naruto. So he basically just walks all the way to the Land of Waves without much issue, and he gets a ride over the river to the actual town. And when Naruto gets there, he couldn't help but notice how, run down all the buildings were. The people were poor. There were a bunch of kids just sitting out on the streets. And this just sick Naruto to his stomach. Is this what Gato does to the places that he has under his control? And this just made Naruto want to more just get rid of him, kill him. So Naruto began walking around and asking people for any information they have on Gato. Like, he walked up to this one fruit merchant and he asked, "Hey, do you know of anyone named Gato?" And hearing this, he's like, "No, I don't know anything." And he closes down his store, like he just brings the shutter down. And Naruto is like, okay, that is definitely weird. So Naruto keeps going around and people keeps like ignoring Naruto. And he is about to give up when this one kid comes up to him, and this is just a random kid. This isn't anyone from canon. And he says, "Gato is a mean guy. He steals all our food all the time." And Naruto, he crouches down to the little kid and he says, "Do you know where he might be?" And he shakes his head no while clutching onto his like dirty teddy bear that he has. And Naruto is like, okay, it's fine. And the kid runs off, and just all of these just kept stacking up, wanting Naruto to help these people even more, to do everything he can. So Naruto begins walking down the main street of the village, and he sees these two guys bothering these merchants, and Naruto walks up to them and he says, "Hey, do we have a problem here?" And the guys start laughing and say, "Where are you supposed to be?" And Naruto said, "If you are, I'm gonna have to take you down." And these two guys lift up their shirt, revealing their swords, and say, "Try something." And Naruto lifts up his shirt and says, "Try something." And the guys, unsheath their blade and run at Naruto, but this was really nothing to Naruto. He unsheathes his and they start getting into a sword battle, but Naruto was trained by a master, and the Uzumaki clan is known for their kenjutsu, which is what Kushina taught Minato's grandfather. I should have probably mentioned that. Yeah, that was Minato's dad, basically. And on the topic of stuff I didn't mention, how Naruto's like memory seal broke in the first place is because the Nine Tails chakra, it began weakening the seal over time, just like it does to its own seal. So instead of 18, it released at 8. So, hopefully you guys got that. But yeah, this fight Naruto is supposed to be having with these two of Gato's henchmen, and they start fighting in a sword battle, and Naruto is taking on both of them easily, and people are watching, they're amazed at Naruto's skill with the sword. So Naruto does a lightning jutsu, and as I said, he doesn't need to use hand signs, and this infuses it into his blade, and Naruto cuts both their swords, and instead of just deflecting, it cuts right through them, and they're looking at their swords like, what, this is solid metal. And while in their confusion, Naruto blitzes behind them and knocks them both out, because he's not trying to kill anyone, or at least like not them, because they're actually hired by Gato, so they kind of have to do what he says. So Naruto knocks the both of them out, and the villagers around him start cheering. Not really villagers, but the townspeople of the Land of Waves. They start cheering for Naruto, thanking him for all he's done. And Naruto, he's telling them it's really nothing. He just knocked out these two guys. He still has a lot more work to do. So from this new respect, Naruto began getting a lot more intel of where Gato might be, and after 3 days in the Land of Waves, this is where he starts to go around and look for Gato in places outside of the Land of Waves. And one of these places he found was a cave near where the bridge was supposed to be built. So Naruto went to go look for that. Meanwhile, back in the Leaf Village, Kakashi's team is short a member because, there isn't Naruto, so they have to move on without that. But right now, they're just doing regular introductions. Kakashi is asking them their names, what's their likes, dislikes, and their goals. And they're basically all the same thing, nothing changes. So Kakashi tells them to meet him at the training ground tomorrow, and that's when their true test as a team is going to start. But before he leaves, Sakura asks why is there only 2 of them in this team when she clearly saw that the other teams had 3 genin and 1 Jonin Sensei. And Kakashi says, while rubbing his chin, well, I didn't make the team, so I guess you'd have to ask Hiruzen. And he poofs into smoke because that was just a clone. And Sakura was just frustrated with Kakashi, but there wasn't really much she could do. So she turns to Sasuke and says, hey Sasuke, do you have any plans later today? Maybe we could go out to eat? I heard there's a good barbecue place next to my house. And Sasuke was actually already walking away. And Sakura was like, no, my one and only Sasuke-kun. But she continues following him, pestering Sasuke until he loses her when he's about to get to his house. So back with Naruto on his mission, and he's checking out this cave that a lot of people keep pointing him towards as sort of the base of operations for Gato, because they often see his henchmen going in and out of that place. So Naruto went to check it out. He walks up to the cave and it's just a metal door with a slit at the top, and Naruto, knocks on the door and somebody opens the slit and says, what's the password? But Naruto quickly ducked under, so when he opened the slip, he saw no one. And he's like, okay, and he shuts it back. And Naruto, he's crouching under the door and he's thinking what's the best way to get in. So he decides to wait until, somebody's coming out or someone's going back in to ambush them and get in that way. So Naruto waits and it takes days for one of them to come out. It takes 5 days for one of Gato's men to come out of the base. And when he does, he opens the door slightly to check if anyone's around, then he opens it fully and walks out. But Naruto quickly rushes the guy and knocks him out and holds the door. And when he opens it, he sees just a cave. It really isn't much more than that. It's just lit up very dimly by torches on the walls. So Naruto begins sneaking around, trying to find just this grand entrance. I mean, if you were the boss of some place, you would see a specific door, maybe something more fancier than normal. So Naruto begins sneaking around, trying to find anything to indicate that this would be Gato's room. And without much hassle, Naruto finds it. It's this grand door with a gold lining it, and Naruto's like, could you make it more obvious? So he walks up to the door and he tries opening it, and to his surprise it just opens, and he sees Gato sitting at his desk writing off some papers, and Naruto says, "Gato, your reign of tyranny ends here." And he looks up and he's like, "Who are you?" And Naruto says, "The Grim Reaper." And Naruto crouches down holding his sword, and he takes in a lungful of air, focusing all his strength into his legs, and he exhales. Then blitzes Gato in a flash of lightning, yellow lightning filling up the room, and it became really bright. And Naruto, with one clean swipe from his sword, cut Gato's head clean off, killing him instantly. His head fell onto the floor and his body just fell back and crashed onto the ground as well. So Naruto took a piece of Gato's clothing, wiped off the blood from his sword, and put it back into its sheath, and Naruto said, "Well, that's the mission complete." And with that, I'm going to be leaving this one here. So that is where I'm going to be leaving this one off. Some of you may actually be wondering why I made the movie into 2 parts. Well, I wanted to release the movie way sooner, but due to situations IRL, I didn't get to. So it's been like 4 days since I posted a video. So I just really want to get this out, drop it. And don't worry, the second part will be dropping tomorrow if everything goes to plan. Also, just wanted to give you guys a heads up. After I finish all the ongoing series on my channel, I'm going to take a short break. It's just going to be a week. What ifs are really draining, and having to come up with complex stories every day, it's not as easy as it seems, trust me. Especially since I've been doing this for about 9 months now and haven't taken a break this long, even in exams. So I know that was a lot, but I'll make a community post about it. Anyways, thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. If you liked it, like, and if you like my content in general, consider subscribing, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.